Amid food crisis, well, these and more coming your way on News Desk. This is South Africa TV, and many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. And we begin with matters of the National Assembly, because members of Gambia's National Assembly have raised concern over the skyrocketing rise in prices of essential commodities ahead of the holy month of Ramadan. Member for Kiang Central, Honorable Bakari Kamara, who raised the motion on the matter, described the act as unjustifiable. He called on the Minister of Trade to engage the business community to get to the root of causes of price hikes in the country. Fatma Kasim has more details of that in this report.
In February 2021, importers of commodities in the Gambia informed the National Assembly Select Committee on Trade that high charges on imports caused by delay in shipping was the main factor for price hikes of basic commodities. According to them, the demand on essential commodities such as rice, sugar, and oil in Africa was high while production was low, and there was increment on the demurrage. 1 month on, price continued to rise, and Bakari Kamara, the parliamentarian for Kiang Central, accused some businessmen of causing the hikes of basic commodities.
It is evident that certain businessmen in the country are involved in the act of hoarding basic essentials. This is, of course, illegal, and the government, which is the implementing and enforcing body of the laws against these callous malpractices, must do all efforts to take stand against such and bring back perpetrators of the practice. As far as I am concerned, the 2021 budget does not reflect any tax increment of the said basic commodities, and that could have attributed to the current price hike as it is our market across the country.
He asked for a quick intervention from the government through the Trade Ministry by engaging the business community as Ramadan approaches. Majanko Samusa, a nominated member, said the Trade Ministry should be effective in carrying out its responsibility, urging the central government to act now as Gambians can no longer endure the hardship.
Time now the government should do something about it. Gambians are suffering seriously. If I don't say it, I'll be lying, because I know how people are suffering. Price rocketing from $260 from the no justification to $450. Where? Not but only the Gambian people. Definitely the government should do something immediately. Immediately the ministry the government should do something about this immediately.
Alaji Estabo of Birkama North also supported the move of his colleague and pinpointed Jar Oil Cement Factory as one of the hoarders in the country.
One cannot understand within this short period of time increase of the price of cement 65%, 270 to about 425. That's almost about 65% increment. We cannot understand that, and that is unacceptable. One will believe that what the honorable member indicated, that's an act of hoarding in these basic essentials, commodities. For example, for the case of the cement, the major producer, that is the Jar Oil, if not producing and others they have, because of that, exorbitantly they increase the prices. I think that's an act of hoarding as he indicated.
Research appeared to show that food prices increased due to fundamental shift in global supply and demand. High energy prices, climate change, decrease in food production, drought, and increment on taxation are some of the contributing forces. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Lawmakers in Banjul expressed concern over the rapid increase of prices of food commodities in the Gambia. And let's stay with trade matters, because the volume of world merchandise trade is projected to rise by 8% in 2021 from the last year, following a decline of 5.3% in 2020 amid the coronavirus pandemic, the World Trade Organization has said. According to WTO, prospects for a quick recovery in the world trade have improved as trade recovered more quickly than expected in the second half of last year. Mariama Cham has more details of that in this report.
Last year's decline of trade growth was far less gloomier than previously foreseen. World Trade Organization says the improvement towards the end of 2020 was partly driven by the announcement of new vaccines at the end of November, boosting confidence. Despite current challenges, notably around vaccine trade, the multilateral trading system kept trade flowing and prevented worst possible outcomes. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, World Trade Organization Director General, projects 8% rise in trade merchandise, adding that increasing vaccines and its availability can also regain back the world economy.
Following a sharp decline in the first half of the year, trade recovered more quickly than expected in the second half of 2020. This rebound has continued, and the WTO's baseline trade forecast foresees an 8% increase in the volume of world merchandise trade for 2021. The rapid development of effective vaccines has given the world a realistic chance of stopping this disease in its tracks and jump-starting the world economy at the same time. But this opportunity could be squandered if large numbers of countries and people do not have equal access to vaccines.
The Geneva-based international body also forecast the growth of global trade volume to slow to 4% in 2022, falling below the pre-pandemic trend. However, Robert Koopman, World Trade Organization chief economist, believes that trade has improved greatly, adding that trade provides a potential recovery of world's economies.
I think it's fairly safe to say that trade has done relatively well. There's been significant concerns about export restrictions and policy measures being put in the path of trade and slowing its growth, but overall it's been relatively robust. And I think that says something about the underlying the foundation of the WTO and the agreements, in that members feel restraint in invoking measures that might impede trade. Now, should they feel more restraint? Maybe. That's up to them. But overall, it appears that trade has been providing a strong underpinning so far for a potential recovery.
COVID-19 continues to pose the greatest threat to the outlook for trade. New waves of infection could easily further undermine any hope for recovery. But WTO boss says keeping international markets open will be essential to both health and economic recovery. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Business expected to grow, of course, in 2021 after the COVID-19 global pandemic. Now to some land issues now, because in the wake of the unprecedented cases of land conflict across different parts of the country, residents of Mahmouda village are pursuing justice in what they claim as unlawful demolition of their compounds. The villagers filed a court case against one Sirifo Bojang of Jambur who claimed ownership of the lands in dispute. iAfrica has been following the development, and here's more details of that.
It could be recalled in November 2020 when residents of the Mahmouda village of Kombo South district experienced a heavy rift between the police intervention unit that covered the demarcation of their lands under the instruction of Sirifo Bojang of Jambur. He had claimed ownership of the lands through the inheritance form of land tenure system from his ancestors. The demolition swept off at least 54 compounds, most of which were newly built, prompting the villagers to set up a committee in the aftermath of the incident to file a court case against the destructors. The committee, apart from defending residents' right to live on their properties, will seek justice in the destruction of major structure on which hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars were spent by the rural community. The Mahmouda Village Development Committee, Kayo Kande, confirmed the institution of a legal action on the land matters.
They were very angry, talking on the top of their voices. When I came, I said, now, what we're going to do is to follow the law. Sirifo followed the law and did this, whether wrongly or correct, but we also going to do the same thing. I told the next day what we were going to do, BDC, was to go around and record all the properties that were demolished. That's why we have record of every individual whose property was demolished. We have the record. And it amounted to 54 plots. Some are the fence, some are houses, some are fence, some are boats and demolished. We got record of everything. So following our series of meetings, a task force was formed, coordinating committee, where Jerry Barrow of Jambanjali was the chair. I am also an active member, or almost deputized in Jerry in most of the meetings here. So we decided that we're going to take a lawyer to sue Silver Borough to court.
Thanks to this land dispute, villagers gather every 2 weeks to discuss ways and means of resolving the conflict. They have raised about $52,000, mainly from the contribution of the rural poor in pursuit of a legal remedy. One of the affected victims, Lamin Jata, who took iAfrica to a tour of the affected areas, explained what appears to be a contradiction between the Sheriff Division of the High Court and the physical planning on whether or not to demarcate the lands in question.
Banjun, head officer Banjun. So,
when the demolition took place, we went to the governor's office to discuss the matter. From there, we went to fiscal planning in Banjul, but according to them, the Sheriff Division gave the orders for the demolition. We went further and visited the Sheriff Division, but they were unable to give us any logical reason on the matter. We all know the document issued to Sheriff Boja was on the basis of a third-party right. We are the third-party right owners of the land and hence exempting us. However, they indiscriminately went ahead and destroyed all our buildings for nothing.
Kande said the villagers are so optimistic that the case will turn out in their favor, given the strong evidence at their disposal.
One, the judgment that Sirifo used to carry on the demolition, when we got access to that document, when we read the document, we feel that the content of the government shouldn't have warranted the Sirifo to carry on the demolition, because the third party mentioned should have not been a victim in that case. Two, we engaged different lawyers to read to study the document and communicate to us what is their understanding in the content. They reported similarly as we understood that yes, the right of the third party is protected in the judgment. So this judgment should have been a document, a tool that civil should have used to carry out demolition of private properties in this community. So that is one evidence that we feel that we will be able to win the case.
Between 2018 and 2019, over 50 hotspots of land conflicts have been identified across the country, with some of the classes resulting into deaths, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization. Some of the major reasons for this unwavering land disputes concerns the poor management of resources by the authorities or the influx of unscrupulous business enterprises in the names of real estate development. For African News, Sohna Tunkara.
Land dispute in Mahmuda as villagers calls for justice after the demolition of some of their compounds. Now to the ongoing public hearings of the TRRC, where lawyer Lamin K. Mboj has on Wednesday appeared before the Truth Commission to continue his testimony. He revealed that his arrest in 2010 was as a result of signing an affidavit on behalf of a client who later denied taking part in such activity. However, Counsel Mboj opined that his arrest was in accordance with the law. Kadri Seka has more details of that.
Lawyer K. Mboj, a former magistrate at Birkama and Banjul Magistrate Courts, was charged in 2010 for making false documents without authority, coupled with false swearing and authoring false documents to the Criminal Code of the Laws of the Gambia. Counsel Mboj said his client colluded with the person spying on him to get him implicated for thumbprinting an affidavit initially requested by the said client, but later denied it before the court.
The same client who pleaded with me to sign and file it on his behalf turned around and said he did not authorize me to sign that affidavit on his behalf.
Natana fokoten ko ate man sembo dintela purunte wo kaytol mi yalon ka tela kalikumol le ba kono purunte na tombo lakam.
He insisted on withdrawing the application before the court.
Natana balanko ko ay wo kaytol min dundi kiti dulato alafta ka bondile.
After withdrawing the application already, I believe he got a link with the same person who is monitoring me. That is because they come from the same village in Jambanjele. And then he had an opportunity to get me arrested.
The Economic Crime Act was established when public theft leading to economic significant loss. Lawyer Lamin Cambridge cited the negative effects of the decree.
Negative effect of the economic crimes decree.
Mbeso na walale. Katuniaji be nyimfanka tinya sarto me yalon diteng ala fanna me yalon ko mukujen kere nyinneti meye mantoro sabu
is to use it to silence critics of the then administration.
In an interview with Foroya newspaper, lawyer Lamin Cambridge confirmed that he was appointed as Solicitor General of the Ministry of Justice. According to him, his appointment was revoked on the same day he assumed office without any reason advanced for his removal. Barrister Mbojo was called to the Gambian bar in 1993 and served as a magistrate from 1994 to 1998. Since then, he has been a private legal practitioner. He dealt with high-profile cases such as treason. Khadija Seka, iAfrica News.
Khadija Seka reporting on the ongoing public hearings of the TRRC, and we will bring you more details of course, today's hearings in our subsequent news bulletins. But for now, we will take a break and come back with the rest of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Welcome back. This is Africa TV, and once again, thanks for joining us. Now, the Libyan Coast Guard has rescued 138 migrants on Wednesday after the boat they were traveling in capsized off the Libyan coast. The rescued migrants include 9 women and 2 children who were attempting to reach European source. But more than 1,200 migrants and asylum seekers died while crossing the Mediterranean in 2020, according to the International Organization for Migration. Desise has more details of that.
Irregular migration continues to be a problem within African sub-region as dozens of Africans cross through the Mediterranean Sea to reach European shores. 138 migrants, including 9 women and 2 children, arrived at the naval base in Tripoli on Wednesday, after being rescued at sea by a Libyan Coast Guard. This rescue came a day after 2 women and 3 children drowned when another boat with dozens of migrants overturned off the Libyan coast. The Libyan Coast Guard mostly rescued African migrants, mainly from Cameroon, Sudan and Mali. In Libya, refugees and asylum seekers are not afforded adequate protection due to unclear policies regulating their stay in the country and lack of recognition of their legal status. According to IOM, Over 1,200 migrants and asylum seekers died while crossing the Mediterranean Sea in 2020. At least 3,700 men, women and children who were returned to Libya this year often ended up in detention centers. Almost 100 migrants were rescued off the west coast of Libya sometimes in February 2021 as they made failed attempts to reach Europe, while around 20 were missing, according to the Coast Guard. On January 19, a boat carrying refugees bound for Europe capsized in the Mediterranean off the coast of Libya, and at least 43 people drowned, according to reports. IOM estimates show a total of 11,891 irregular migrants were rescued and returned to Libya in 2020. 381 migrants died. 597 went missing on the central Mediterranean route during the same period. The North African country is a major route for migrants trying to reach Europe via the Mediterranean Sea, and traffickers have thrived in the lawlessness that followed the 2011 overthrow of dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy.
And from the report there by Ndesite to Uganda next, where the World Food Programme is calling for more humanitarian support in the northern Uganda to help ease the shortage of food in the area. Many people, including children in the Karamoja region, are out on the street struggling for food for survival. Now, the UN Food Agency has expressed concern over the deteriorating situation. Here's more details of that.
Trying out new ways of survival. These are some of Kampala's street children. Many of them migrated from Karamoja and now survive on handouts.
We were starving back home, so I told my mother, instead of dying, let me go and look for what to eat. That's how I ended up here on the street.
Government figures show that about 20 children become homeless every day in Uganda, and most of these are from the hunger-stricken Karamoja region. Karamoja is a semi-arid area in the northeastern part of the country. Besides the locals battling the effects of climate change, they are now struggling to deal with the effects of COVID-19. But with support from development partners, the UN World Food Programme wants to reverse the trend, and China has come in to provide financial assistance.
This funding will help us, at least if things are not moving forward, things are not moving backwards. And therefore, we will be able to reach about 80,000 mothers, lactating women and children, those who are affected by nutrition status. And in addition that, we will be able to reach 130,000 kids in over 300 schools in Karamoja.
However, the World Food Programme is appealing for more support because the country's refugee population of around 1.5 million people is also facing the same challenges.
We have been forced to cut 40% of the ration for the refugees. What does that mean? Every single refugee will get only 60%, and this is survival. This is not everything. This is just the survival. And we have an indication that the funding might go down and we might cut more.
The UN Food Agency is hoping that as more support from the development partners comes in, it will end food insecurity in Karamoja and in turn help keep young people in school.
The World Food Programme, they are calling for more support to help ease the food crisis in northern Uganda. And with that, of course, unfortunate and, of course, touching report there, we finally bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can visit on our website on iAfrica.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and bye for now.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second largest gathering of world leaders in 2022. To successfully host the OIC summit and put the Gambia on the global stage, the government of the Gambia set up OIC Gambia to mobilize resources for the implementation of key development and infrastructure projects on a scale never seen before. 20 new roads will be constructed across the country, and the Bertel-Harding Highway will be expanded into a dual carriage highway of 2 lanes on each side from the airport to Sting Corner. All people in the Gambia deserve clean water and a constant flow of electricity. Therefore, an entirely new water system will be constructed, including new transmission